Hello everyone, and thank you all for tuning in once again to Tales by the Fire. Last episode, we found out that Cal's condition was far worse than we originally thought, and she was once again visited by the strange voice in her dreams. What is this voice? Whose is it and where does it come from? And how will Calla fare with her sickly condition? Find out in this episode of Tales by the Fire. Chapter 12. Danger. I slowed Fyodor to a trot, feeling the marks on my right arm burn. I scanned the darkening landscape but saw nothing. There was danger nearby, that much I knew. Fyodor could feel it too. The horse tossed his head and switched his tail anxiously, pulling the reins slightly. "Easy," I muttered, keeping him collected. He had seemed uneasy since we met with Calla and that scum that was guarding her. I didn't like seeing my sister alone with an older man. Perhaps it had been a mistake to leave him with her. Calla could fend for herself, and I could have easily disposed of the guard, but she seemed to trust him. It wasn't often that Calla had a chance to make a friend, so against my better judgment, I had left the two together. Still, the cloudy, confident look in the bodyguard's eyes had irritated me. It was such a look of arrogance, as if he were the one that were looking down at me, as if he knew something that I didn't. There was such a strange sense of sadness about him, of loss, and something that simply screamed that he couldn't be trusted. Although Calla obviously did. The man was intelligent, that much I was sure of, and I knew that he would have been a threat to a fighter even like my father, and I had threatened to make him my enemy. He would not live to see another morning if he ever hurt Calla. She didn't deserve any more pain in her life. I heard a low snarl behind us, and instinctively grabbed my bow, readying an arrow. I could see nothing yet, but I knew there was something behind us. I nudged Fyodor with my heels and exploded into a pounding gallop. I twisted my waist, trusting Fyodor not to run into anything as I prepared to stop whatever was coming toward us. Suddenly, a flash of gray flew from the darkness. Teeth gleamed as I raised the arrow. It thudded onto its mark, the throat of a strange beast. Not quite wolf, but something larger. I wonder if this was the same type of beast that attacked Calla. The creature fell, tumbling head over heels, and was dead before it stopped moving. But the snarls continued, and I readied another arrow. Sweat trickled down my brow as Fyodor thundered on. Before I could react, let alone fire an arrow, something slammed into Fyodor, and as the chestnut horse stumbled, sending me tumbling over its neck, I hit the ground hard and rolled to my feet, dropping my bow in exchange for my dagger. As I felt my empty belt, I realized that I had given my dagger to Calla. Curses filled my mind as I heard Fyodor squeal in pain. I turned to him, and saw him lash out with his hooves at one of the wolf creatures, who was trying to get a hold of the horse's leg. I snatched up my bow, notched an arrow, and let it fly. Seconds later, the wolf lay dead. I stood still, panting for a moment, adrenaline rushing through my veins. After my heart had slowed, I slowly approached Fyodor, who was still rolling his eyes back warily. Speaking softly, I reached out and caught hold of his bridle. The chestnut horse calmed down and dropped his head, noticeably more relaxed. I didn't have the same effect on animals as Kala, but I had always understood horses above all other animals. I stroked the horse gently, thankful that he didn't bolt off. It was then that I noticed the wound on his rear leg. I carefully bent down and examined the wound, being sure not to straddle Fyodor. It was ragged, but not too deep, and the wound was easily healed. I placed my hand on the wound, focusing my energy to my fingertips. I felt the familiar burn of the marks, as if someone was tracing them with molten ink. The wound closed beneath my hand, and gleaming fur grew in. In seconds, there was no sign of the wound. I leapt back onto Fyodor's back, strapping my bow, which was thankfully undamaged, across Fyodor's crop, before nudging him to a relaxed trot. The sooner I was out of Madokai, the better, and the sooner I could see Vanessa again. I missed her more than I expected over the past few days. My head pounded as I rode on. Even when night fell, I didn't stop. It wasn't safe. Thoughts of Kala, father, and mother plagued my mind, and I was filled with a deep worry. Would my sister truly be safe on this journey? And what was the role of my parents in all this? A strange fury filled me as I pushed Fyodor faster, hoping to put as much distance between myself and these strange feelings as possible. Soon I would be with Vanessa, and she would surely make me feel at ease. Her words were all I needed to feel at home. She reminded me so much of Kala, so full of compassion, more than I could ever obtain. Those two were truly special, if only both of them were not cursed. Perhaps then they could make their rightful places in their cold, unforgiving lives. That was Chapter 12 of Marked. It was written by Darkhawk14 and posted on fictionpress.com. Thank you all for listening. If you'd like to read the story in its entirety, then go to Darkhawk14's fictionpress.com in the description. And like always, I'll see you all next time on Tales by the Fire.